Hey everybody, thanks for stopping back in at the Red Barn to see what we're up to this week. And no surprise, it's nothing but hot rod 914s. We got the LS car out in the driveway. We got the Group 5 wide body in the barn for some needed love and attention. But in this episode, we are going to keep chipping away at the Ferrari 360 swapped 914 and get it that much closer to getting ready to start. Oh, and stay tuned at the end. We're going to do a quick check-in with our one-eyed Wonder Kitties, Wazo and Meep. So, hope you enjoy. I mentioned a couple things needed to be redone, and one of them is the feed line from the water pump to the water plate into the block. I changed the fitting on the water pump, and that ended up making this a little bit too short, so I have to extend it. So I'm going ahead and putting in the first piece, just fixturing this down with a couple of alignment saddles, if you will. And I'm going to go ahead and get this put on and get that checked and cut to size, and then get the angles right. And this piece will be all more better and a better fit. All done, new length, much better fit. On to getting the other pipe in there. Well, if we're talking about coolant lines, why am I filming the transaxle? Well, if you recall, there's a pump inside the transaxle that pumps the trans fluid up and has a heat exchanger with the coolant that is hot coolant being pumped out of the motor through the heat exchanger to preheat and equalize the temperature between the engine oil and the trans fluid in this heat exchanger. So that means that all new copper washers on all of the banjo fittings involved with those lines. But here's the secondary, well, the hot water return line. I have to order new, I have ordered new rubber connectors there. That the little bits that are left over are not long enough. And I don't have any complete plans for the heater core, so this is just getting capped for right now. And I'm probably not going to run a thermostat. I'm probably going to run a pulse width modulated signal to the electric fuel pump that just watches the engine temperature and varies the pump output based on temperature. But that line is in place. And here's the upper view. So coming out of the thermostat and heading downhill. And if I take you under the car, there are the two tubes. The lower one is the output from the water pump right there, going up to the water plate, and then the upper one is the hot water return, and it comes down, goes around the corner, and then around the 90 into the channel that I have not finished, and then that'll be Gates green stripe all the way up to the front of the car. So there's my water in from the radiator, and there's water out to the radiator. Okay, there's a bit of overlap on this, but let me finish up on the Plenum. Here's the horrible result. I'm not going to quit my day job and try to become a painter. I suspect it'll come through okay, but it's, like I said, overlap. I'm going to do some scanning, but you can see I got a wrinkly here, like no wrinkle here, not much here. It's really uneven. The tricky part with this stuff is you have to get 3 even coats on it. And as easy as that sounds, I mean, you're trying to spray evenly here and around this and getting stuff down in here, kind of an important view of this part of the car. And then you get into this area and it's like that surface, this surface, the back side of these, it's just, it's above my pay grade. And it needs to be spectacular because it's the thing people are going to look at. So I'm giving up on this, and turns out Martin's got a buddy who's like a super duper awesome painter, custom motorcycle stuff, and sounds like he may be able to find an actual paint that does wrinkle. So I'm going to be talking to him in the future, and if he can do something with it, great. And if not, then I'm going to grind all of the JB Weld out of it, and Martin's going to weld in aluminum, and we'll just shape the aluminum, get it all in aluminum, and then it'll go back to a different powder coater. Maybe one that's done some Ferrari stuff before. So anyway, enough of the Plenum. So now it's time. I did just put it back in here. It's not assembled. You can see no gaskets, nothing like that. So I want to start scanning. Now that I can put this in and the throttle body is in its position, I can start scanning this area with the engine in place and start understanding exactly how much room I have for an airbox. And now that I'm seeing it and actually paying attention to it, I can easily fit the battery down there and have plenty of room for the airbox. So let me go ahead and get this scanned. All right, and there's the scan. And looks like I got some pretty good detail. What I care about is the mouth of the throttle body and clearance to the firewall and available space to the wall. So it looks like I got everything I need. So now we process it. It's now meshing. And I did try a couple of things. I upped the sensitivity to get more detail, and I turned on color mapping. So you can see it's doing some processing here. I'm still learning this thing and just playing around. As you know, I'm in no hurry, so just having some fun. And here I'm in the middle of processing, but you can see I just went ahead and put the factory intake boot on to see how much room that takes up, because I'd love to be able to use that. It's very factory looking because it's factory part, you know, versus like a flat silicone hose or something. I suppose I could try to print something like that if I could come up with the right durometer TPU material or some such thing. But I'm gonna, you know, again, I have this outer dimension and now I can model off of that and see if I can, you know, still have it work in airbox. Maybe this is the actual connector that goes, you know, right into the airbox. We'll see. And again, now it's going to take some time to do the color mapping, so I'll be back when that's done. I happily admit, I am a sucker for a shiny new object. I have never played with the color mapping turned on this thing, and I have a new favorite thing in the whole entire world other than my wife and the kitties, and that is color mapping with a scanner. Look at this freaking thing. Oh my God, it is crazy. Yes, the dots are still turned on. I'm sure I can process those out. But oh my goodness. I mean, again, I'm wasting time because this doesn't really help me in the process of building my parts. But how fun is that? Look, here's what the inside of an engine looks like. No, how cool. Anyway, so let me get this actually turned into something I can use in Fusion. And I can start modeling the airbox in that space. And there it is with the boot. Color is really a distraction. You know, I'm over it pretty quickly. It's cool, you know, kind of cool, but it really doesn't buy me anything other than, yep, that's how it looks in real life. Anyway, now to pull this all into Fusion and get to modeling an airbox. You just pull the mesh into Fusion, make sure that everything's, you know, follow the rules for getting the mesh brought in, and you can see there's the surface I need to measure to from, you know, the connector point. And this is the one that does not have the boot on it. I didn't bother bringing that one in yet. And, you know, there's the firewall. I haven't oriented it, aligned it, all that good stuff. But you can see I've got all the surfaces that I need, all the dimensions to make sure I can check clearance, put the battery box in there, all that good stuff. So very, very cool. Super happy with how this is turning out. I am constantly getting ahead of myself. After that fabulous scan of the engine bay area for the airbox fab, I was thinking, oh, wait a second, there's something missing. Yeah, the header. So the good news is I'll just go ahead and install the header, and then I'll come back, and all I have to do is scan just the header area, and the scanning software will see that as a new scan, and I can ask it to kind of like assemble that into what I already have. So I don't have to redo everything. I just add this as a scan and say, combine this in, and I'll show you what that looks like here when I get this all put together and scanned. All right, with the scan done of the headers, which by the way, looks like that. And as I've mentioned, I really don't care about anything else. I just need essentially that surface in space so I can get airbox and battery clearance to it. So the fact that, it doesn't show what it's doing to the head, it doesn't matter, right? And so what happens now is I'm in the merging capabilities of the tool. And so what you do, let me zoom out a little bit. What you do is you take, whatever numbers of scans you've done, and I've done, let me turn this off. And here's the first one I did. This is the one with no boot on the throttle body. This is the one, if I turn this one off and turn this one on, here's the piece where I just scanned the boot component. And so what I can do now is I can say, for instance, if I want scan 1 and scan 3, you can see that it's just this mishmash of meaningless, 2 meaningless scans just sitting there in space. And that's because I think it has to do with how you physically are holding the scanner when you first start to scan. And so the nice thing is it doesn't matter. You can see here that I can ask it to try to auto-align all these things, or what they call auto-merge, either based on some feature of the scan or on the markers. So there are times when you don't use these markers, but one of the advantages of using the markers is this exact thing. I've set it to markers, and if I say start, well, well, there you go. Look at that. It put it together based on, it knows where the markers are. And so there is my engine bay with the throttle body and the headers and the battery box and the outside inner fender of the passenger side. So now I've got everything I need to know what clearances I have for the battery box and the airbox. So as I keep saying, I couldn't be happier with this. It's just amazing. And really, I don't need the airboxes to make the car run, so I focus on that sort of thing at night when I'm in the house. And so what I'm going to focus on for the rest of this episode, I can get the rest of the exhaust put on. I got to finalize the fuel lines. Can't see them, they're not here, but I have to finalize the fuel lines that go from the output of the pressure regulator into the fuel rails. So there's a bunch of stuff that I actually need to spend my time thinking about that aren't fancy. Worst case, I can stick a couple of cone filters right off the side of the plenum to get the car fired and running and even driving around. So I got to stay focused on trying to make the thing run and not get distracted by all the cool new technology. So let me go to work on all of that stuff. Okay, so what you saw there was I got the headers snugged on, and the slip fits did not want to go together. The pipes were too narrow. And of course, I freak out immediately thinking, okay, what did I do wrong that this exhaust system no longer fits? But what it turns out is that the headers can rotate, if you will, right? There's enough slop in the openings of the header flanges that that they can do this. And because they're doing this, they're actually, because the head is at an angle, they're actually doing this. And so making sure that they're both in the same position that they were in when we fabricated the crossover pipe that the slip fits are part of means I had to loosen a little bit of stuff and get them to be at the right angle so that they were the same width. And so look how this is coming together. Maybe I should start it with no mufflers on it. So yeah, just, I'll get the mufflers put on. Oh, I still have to fabricate, coming back to, permanent stuff. This is just that temporary hanger. So maybe another job for the 3D scanner. Scan this area, figure out this bracket. this goes off to send, cut, send. But maybe what I try is, there are a number of channels that I watch, and I would highly recommend you fabricator guys, or if you're just car nerds in general, the Sendy Club. Robin Shute. He is a 4-time Pikes Peak winner, and he is not only the driver of the car, but he's the engineer. Again, I'm sure I'm leaving lots of people out of this, but he seems to have a major hand in all of the design work of the car, and his channel is super detailed about aerodynamics, materials choice, all this other stuff. And one of the things that they're doing is 3D printing. He's not doing it, but there are services out there, 3D printing metal stuff now. Inconel, if you want to spend all your money, stainless, titanium, aluminum. And so maybe what I can try is designing up something super cool that I could never make, and having this bracket hanger, you know, like 3D printed in stainless. It's not that expensive. You'd be surprised. It's not thousands and thousands of dollars, and depending upon the part, obviously, it's hundreds and hundreds. So totally accessible to hobbyists now. So, you know, where the 3D printing, or the 3D printers that you're seeing, you know, that I'm using and all these other builders are using, the hobbyist grades of those, we're certainly not at the point where we can get metal printing 3D printers at the hobbyist level. But now 3D printing services for metal parts is starting to be accessible to hobbyists. So the world is really changing, and it's, at least for me, it's forcing, if that's the right word, it's forcing me to really think through, like, well, wait a second, if I did it this way, maybe I don't make the part, but I end up with a much better solution and something super cool, because some of the 3D printing stuff, as you've seen, you could never fabricate this. I mean, even the pros can't fabricate some of these crazy, you know, super tight radius, you know, 3D printed headers, the stuff that's going on. But anyway, didn't I just say earlier in this episode, I'm trying not to get distracted by the tech, and I need to stay focused on my build. This hanger is all I need to get the car running. So try to stay focused. Mufflers go in, ship cables, axles. I'm going to go back to work on the fuel lines now, but man, I'm really excited. It's coming together. It is coming together. All right, there's the exhaust view that you've seen if you followed the build and seen the exhaust episodes. You know, the lovely headers that you really have to look for. Pardon the scanning dots. But now that the car's together enough to see the entire rear view, there's one other element. I haven't really been trying to hide it. Some of you might have spotted it, but I haven't seen any comments about it. But here's the full reveal. There's the back of the car. And yes, that is really the license plate that has been assigned to this car by the state of California. And so it says it all in one picture. The Enzo 914 Porsche, Ferrari. Anyway, as I've been saying, I think that's going to piss everybody off just the right amount. And with everybody pissed off just the right amount, I'm going to call it for this episode. So as always, thanks for watching. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about how things are going. And like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends. Those of you that are interested in the kitties, please stay tuned, because we got a Wazo and Meep update. They're only going to be with us for a couple more weeks before they head off to Morty's. And we'll talk to everybody again real soon. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye. So let's remember what Wazo looked like when he first got here, and we were able to find a picture of Meep and his eye problem. So here he is, and then look at these two boys, and look how well they're doing together. And here they are on the front porch. Meep's hanging out on the carpet. Waz is giving himself a bath on the chair. My lovely wife is relaxing out here playing supervisor. Look at this boy. Look at this boy. All soft paws. He is just a little love. They both are. And they're getting along great. They're doing super well. They're out here discovering, you know, all these little levels they can play on. Look at this boy. Hi. Hi, Waz. What you doing? What you doing? He has got the biggest personality in the smallest little cat body I've ever seen. Look at this guy. He is just the curious kitty. Hi, bud. How are you? And it's Friday. What's the date? The 28th? Friday the 28th, I think? 29th? I can't even remember. 29th. And next Sunday is, there they are. They're there now. Oh, you okay, buddy? Look at him. Oh, almost. Waz is going in for spay and neuter next Sunday. And then depending upon space down at Morty's, these guys will be down, available for adoption. And we will miss the heck out of them. No, we'll miss the heck out of them. They are such cool little kitties, and they're doing so well. So I don't know if these aren't two of the best representatives for why folks should support their local animal rescues. I don't know what to tell you. So again, we'll have one more week of check-ins with these guys, and then it's probably down to Morty's. So everybody say once before one last goodbye to these guys. There he is, Mr. Meep in the Wozniak. Hi, bud. You coming in? Oh, good one. Way to end the scene.